I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Capricorn for April 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. You can also check out my professional development courses and lots of other things on my site. So what's going on in the month of April? We are still in the midst of wrapping up unfinished business. We have Venus retrograde still until the 15th. We have a Mercury retrograde again. So our theme of going backwards and going in is continuing, and I'll talk about some more of that soon. But first I want to talk about some things specific for Capricorn. There is a placement called Transiting North Node. One of my apprentices pointed out a while ago that I don't usually speak to that in the horoscopes, and I thought, wow, you're absolutely right. There's no reason I haven't, except I've just been talking about other things. So I've had it on my mind to bring that back around and talk about it. When we look at a North Node placement in a natal chart, this is my favorite placement in a natal chart. I've never done a reading without talking about this. I've trained my apprentices to never do a reading without considering the North Node. The North Node tells us our areas of highest expression in this lifetime, the keys to our happiness and fulfillment and feeling like we're living on purpose. When we see the placement of the transiting North Node, this gives us general keys, like an area of focus that gives us keys to our personal happiness, our personal purpose. So for early, middle, and late degree placements for Capricorn, that transiting North Node is in the 8th house, which is the house of Scorpio, which represents this energy of going deep. This is an emotional water house. This represents, it's also called other people's money. It's the energy of other people's resources or you sharing your resources with someone else. It's like a collaboration and synergy placement. So that placement there now is telling you that your happiness as an individual, there's a huge key to that lying in your connections with other people. Capricorn energies tend to be very ambitious, sometimes individualistic in the way that they have this vision and they have to just go run up the mountain, which makes sense, and that can be very productive. But there are going to be certain places where if you merged your energy or accepted help from other people or allowed in other resources or looked to see how you could create synergy and win-win situations, that it would advance your work even further. There's also an aspect of this involving psychology and looking into the emotional stories behind things. Capricorn energy is not a terribly emotional placement. That doesn't mean that Capricorns can't and aren't emotional, of course. Our sun sign or our rising sign, any one placement in our personal charts, are just one little tiny piece of this massive energetic profile that you see when you look at different astrological charts for an individual. So you can't really make too much of a judgment about a person based on one placement in their chart. This is a piece of the very, very complicated puzzle. But in any case, the energy of Capricorn can be reserved and not, a lot of times people will describe Capricorn energy as not really knowing where you are with that person, and I think that there's something in that with this North Node placement is sort of catering to some of the emotional needs of yourself and of other people around you in a way that amplifies your connection and synergizes your goals and someone else's goals. So that's the transiting North Node. Going deep is your key to happiness right now, basically. There's also a huge amount of energy for early, middle, and late degree placements in the 4th house. The early degree placements have Mercury, Mars still there for some of you. Middle degree placements have Mars and Mercury. Late degree placements have Mars. So all of you have some energy or a bunch of energy in the 4th house. The 4th house has to do with home and family and real estate ventures and the emotional, again, you can see this theme here, and that's part of why I'm linking this together, because the placement of the North Node is in a water house, that's the 8th house. The placement of this active personal planet energy is in this 4th house, also a water house. So it's a time when looking into the emotional aspects of things are going to suit you. So it could be resolving something, from the past with a family member, or looking into how your psychology how your upbringing has affected how you're living now, things like that. It could just be very simply a time where you're very focused on domestic matters. Maybe a family member needs you, or maybe you're cozying up at home, or you're doing some little home projects, or you have family in town, or you're going back to a place that feels like home to you. It's a homey family type of energy. And it also does rule real estate and work jobs that circle around or center around real estate, so construction, design, things like that. So you'll see a boost there. Wherever Mars is like our border collie of the zodiac. It brings vibrance, it brings energy, it brings focus. So you find yourself being hot on the energies wherever Mars is, it's like it's bringing all of this energy there. So you have a lot of energy in your home and family, basically. A longer term transit that I wanted to talk about has to do with Saturn. Saturn has been, for the early and middle degree placements, and some of you late degree placements will have been feeling this, in the 12th house. The rest of you late degree placements will have been feeling Saturn in the 11th house, but pay attention because the 12th house energies are coming for you soon, and then you can be prepared for what that's like. When Saturn moves through the 12th house, either in your solar chart or your natal chart, so this is going to be true for you whether you are a Cap rising or whether you are a Cap sun. Saturn in the 12th is very heavy on your mind. Maybe nobody but an astrologer could really understand what Saturn is doing to you psychologically. It's a very, very, very heavy placement. Many people will find that during a Saturn transit, they become unexplainably depressed, or lower than usual, or confused, or the weight of things is just too much. And I think that there's probably a higher incidence of depression diagnosis during this time. I've tracked this through thousands of charts, and I've seen it happen like clockwork, that people get more low when this happens. So there always are positive ways that you can use this energy, and that's why I bring it up. I don't ever bring up a negative energy just to say, this happens, this sucks, good luck with that, I bring up negative energies because I want to show you how you can transform them and use them for what their potentials are, their positive potentials. So Saturn wants discipline. And when it moves to the house of the mind, it wants discipline of the mind. So it wants you to work with and get to know your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the wellspring of all of your creation. And you have an opportunity when Saturn is moving through there to master your mind in a way that isn't present at any other time in your life. You have all of this hard disciplinarian energy of Saturn, the taskmaster, moving through your mind space. There is a book that I love for this transit called Marriage of Spirit. It's written by Leslie Temple Thurston. If you just look for Marriage of Spirit, you can find it on Amazon. I've seen it at Barnes & Noble. And then it's also with Brad Laughlin. So she has written spiritual exercises in section 2. I have seen people lift out of heavy mental fogs using these written spiritual exercises. It's amazing. Of course, you have to, if you're seriously depressed, you have to consult a doctor. It's not going to take the place of something that you might need to do, and you have to use prudence here. But it could definitely be an adjunct therapy for anything else that you're doing. And for people who are not low enough that they need to have medical involvement, you could actually pull yourself right out of feeling low with these exercises. It's really quite extraordinary. So you can check that out. It's a book that is a little bit more expensive because it's a hardcover, but you might be able to find it used like for under $20, but otherwise it's about $25. But I've had it on my nightstand for 13 years. And anytime I have anything that goes on, I do one of the exercises and it clears it right up. It's just amazing. So for the late degree Cap placements who still have this Saturn moving through the 11th house. Oh wait, before I get there, a couple of other things about the 12th house Saturn to manage that better, besides the Marriage of Spirit, is meditation. Meditation is hands down the best way to manage your unruly mind. So getting into and sticking to a meditation practice is one of the best ways that you can use this energy in the most substantially positive way. psychotherapy, anything, using subliminal messaging, hypnotherapy, past life regression, anything like that is wonderful for Saturn through the 12th house. Also connecting with angels and guides and things like that. Okay, so your later degree placements where Saturn is moving through the 11th house still could be bringing you hard lessons involving friendships, assessing, testing your groups, your social circles, or maybe just your friends could be having a hard time and you're holding space for them. That's one of the lower, more difficult energies of Saturn moving through the 11th house. Difficulty with groups, humanitarian efforts, internet-based projects, anything like that, technology, innovative things. A higher vibration could mean that something takes shape in one of those arenas. You're like a humanitarian project you're working on or an internet-based project that you're working on. Saturn is the bringer of form, so it helps things to take shape right before your very eyes. It shows you how to do the hard work to create things into form. If you've ever delivered a baby or watched anyone who's delivered a baby, some people I've heard of having a very gentle experience where there's no pain and there's no major force, coming out. But most women scream like crazy because you're birthing something into a tangible reality, and it's challenging. And there's a lot of pressure involved in that. And that energy, that creation into form, is very Saturnian. So the birthing of something, the building of something, is the Saturnian energy. So if you're trying to build a group, or trying to lead groups, trying to build a practice where you're leading groups, trying to build an internet-based business, something like that, Saturn is there to help you do that, so you can take full advantage of that. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Capricorns this month. I'm calling the theme of April, the general astrology transits that will affect everyone. Wrap it up. We still have a major focus on retrograde energy. We started this theme in December of 2016, and every month until now, we've had a personal planet retrograde and or the shadow period of a personal planet retrograde. So, this idea of taking unfinished business and clearing it up so that when we move forward and we have these signs of moving forward, especially towards the end of April, when Mars gets into Gemini and the energy really starts to stir up, we'll have this feeling of where we're going, this long-awaited actual movement on an external level in the outer realms. But this month of April is a time to wrap it up. It's a time to resolve unfinished business. When I was planning these horoscopes, I was sitting one day in a place that had inspirational quotes flashing across the screen. And there was one that said, "There's more to life than increasing its speed." And that was by Mahatma Gandhi. And I really, really liked that as something to mention for this month, because the energy of retrograde is just the antidote to this over-busy, over-scheduled world. So the more we can take stock of things closer to home, take stock of internal events. It's not that you can't say yes to opportunities that come in your external realms. Of course, it's fine to do things. Just know that new things that seem to come in a retrograde time often will change their terms compared to what you agreed to, or they might be shorter term than you anticipate. That doesn't have to be a problem. That doesn't mean you can't activate it. It's just an awareness to have. But as far as intentionally doing something, it just lends itself to shorter term contracts, and it lends itself to wrapping up unfinished business. So we've got this theme that continues through April. Like I said, at the end of the month, you'll start to see things stirring up as far as like actual authentic outer movements coming soon. So I want to talk about some of the aspects that are going to be relevant this month. I'm going to give you a list of some of them, but you can get a more complete list when you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter. I do a write-up for the upcoming month, and I send that out a month early as well, to give you more details of days that have good energy, days that have challenging energy, and how to, what you might expect with those things. But here's a more summarized list. We start out the month with a really great burst of energy with Mars in Taurus trining Pluto in Capricorn. Mars rules action, And Pluto rules transformation. And a trine is the best aspect in astrology. So, you might see something come in that that could be notable, or you might use that time to try to get something done that's important. The same days, like April 5th, April 6th, Saturn's going to go retrograde. When an outer planet goes retrograde, there are different effects than when an inner planet goes retrograde, because outer planets spend a very long period of time retrograde, and inner planets, the ones closer to us, they go retrograde in a different type of cycle. They're not retrograde as long as these outer planets. But in any case, when Saturn goes retrograde, I see it actually as getting a break from Saturn's chop busting. Saturn is the disciplinarian, is the taskmaster. It wants you to do something, to be on point, to step it up, to work really hard, to work smarter, to do all of this stuff, have all these lessons in the signs and houses that it's moving through. When it goes in retrograde, it actually eases up a little bit, where your to-do list is more manageable, where you can integrate the lessons, where you get a break. So I'm excited about the Saturn in retrograde for all of us. And that will be from around April 5th or 6th, depending on your time zone, until August 25th. Then we have on April 7th. Now I'm giving you the dates that these happen, but we can feel the effects of planetary transits before or after the actual day that they happen. So just be aware of that. So on April 7th, we have this yearly Sun opposing Jupiter clash. And this time the Sun is in Aries and Jupiter is in Libra. So this theme that we had quite a bit of last month through major outer planet connections, we have another little burst of this. So Aries is me, Libra is we. So it's like someone's individuality is conflicting with something in relationship, or a relationship obligation, or an opinion of someone you're in relationship with. So that could bring a moment, in relationships where there's a clash there. On April 10th, we have the full moon, and that's at 21 degrees of Libra. This full moon is going to be conjunct Jupiter and square Pluto. All of the planets, all of the signs, all of the placements have a potential to have positive or negative effects. Sometimes we think about Jupiter as having positive luck-bringing effects, and that can often be true. When Jupiter is sitting next to something else, like an event like a full moon, it amplifies it. Full moons are intense already. So the completion, the fruition, something coming to be in the areas of Libra might be more intense or more expanded. So something notable with relationship, something, someone coming to an agreement, something coming to a closure, and some sort of, something with an interpersonal relationship will probably be the theme there. And the square to Pluto usually means that there's some sort of, person with some control, or entity with some control that is not making the situation easier. Usually some sort of force that just seems like it's working against you. So I always like to leave a little room around the full moons, because they're often emotional, and you might want to have the space to tend to whatever comes up there, whether it's a great positive thing coming to fruition that you want to be present for, or whether it's a challenge that's going to be emotional and you'll need a little time to recover. I think it's a good idea to leave some space around that full moon, which is on April 10th. On April 16th, there is a nice angle between Venus in Pisces and Mars in Taurus that could bring resolutions in relationships. So it's possible that that full moon accentuates this issue, and that maybe this Venus-Mars aspect could bring some sort of accord back into the picture. On April 17th, there's a beautiful angle between the Sun, which is in Aries, and Saturn, which is in Sagittarius. So this could bring a boost to long-term goals, or something that you've been working on for a while, some sort of positive energy there. And then on April 19th or the 20th, depending on where you are, the Sun in Aries is conjunct Mercury. Now, the energy, or actually by then it's in Taurus. So it's the Sun in Taurus conjunct Mercury. So this is going to bring a dose of realism and or a dose of productivity. Whenever planets get together, they have an amplified effect. Sometimes the effects can be a positive experience. Sometimes the effects can be a negative experience. The sun amplifies. Mercury is communication or information or news. So, so I see it as a realism or productive, something bringing productivity around that time. Then on April 21st and the days around there, especially watch your security on all levels and other private and personal information, because Venus in Pisces is going to square Saturn and Sag, and Saturn can bring some hard lessons and want some details attended to. And Venus rules money and love, and Pisces is stuff kind of going on in the backdrop. So just, be cautious of your personal things in the backdrop, especially around that time. Then on April 24th, we have Mercury in Aries making this beautiful aspect to Saturn and Sag, just like the sun did a few days before. So this can bring in good news or more boosts to long-term goals. There are some themes that I'm seeing, a theme that I'm seeing this month because of a lot of pretty nice Saturn aspects, are these boosts to long-term goals. Now, even though we're in the midst of something, this retrograde energy that's kind of like a short-term energy or a going backwards energy, but if you've been working over this time to see to details in the backdrop, you might see these Saturn aspects really start to light up, showing the work that you've done is actually getting somewhere. On or around the 26th, you'll feel that new moon energy, and that's going to be at 6 degrees of Taurus. New moons are times to make wishes. You can check out my video, Making Wishes Come True. If you just search for Annie Making Wishes Come True, you can learn more about how you can use these new moon energies. But basically you get 10 wishes at each new moon, and the more you align your wishes to the energies of the sign that the moon is in, the more easily the universe can bring those wishes into fruition. I also have a blog up on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, called Making Powerful New Moon in Taurus Wishes, that you can use specifically for this moon on the 26th. So Taurus energy rules money, finances, self-sufficiency, connectedness to earth, or eco-friendly types of things, earth sustainability projects. Also values, so anything along those lines will get a bigger boost when you wish for them around this time. Then around the 28th, and it's very close to this new moon energy, enough so that these energies could blend together, you could have electrifying experiences or information come in because Mercury is conjunct Uranus. And this is happening in Aries. So anytime you have something involving Uranus, you got to look out for surprises. When it's in Aries, which it has been and is going to be for a while, you have to guard your physicality, especially your head. So, something, you moving along and something bumping your head, the odds of that are increased during that time. So just watch yourself. Now, the odds are just as likely as information will bonk into your head, as opposed to the literal hitting into your head. Insights, sudden breakthroughs. It's a really great time for brainstorming. Whenever I see aspects like this with Uranus, I really love it for brainstorming on any topic. Then we close out the month, April 30th, with this energy of Saturn and Sagittarius with Chiron and Pisces. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid that really shows us how we have deep levels of woundedness and how that shows up in our lives, and how we can make our weakest link become a blessing and a major strength in our lives. So at this time, there could be opportunities for great forgiveness to occur of self and others, and transcending the issue of feeling like a victim. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general astrology for the month of April. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about my professional development courses. You can keep track of the registration for my astrology apprenticeship program, my coach certification and online business course. If you'd love to be a professional coach, help people reach their goals, that is one of the things I'm really good at, and I love to teach people how to help other people to do that. You can check that out. And I also teach my Creating Successful Online Business course if you would like to bring your business online and be free of your geography. So sign up for my email newsletter to get my monthly report. See what's new on my blog at anniehelpsyou.com. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.